Welcome back to the workshop, everybody. So glad you could be with me here today. Walter here. Today, very special episode. Drying wood, understanding moisture content, and safety regarding drying wood in the microwave. Wood contains moisture, just like we contain water. So do trees. Some trees are drier than others when living. Ash is extremely dry in comparison to beech or sycamore or some of the other, what I call wet woods, which are about 60% moisture when living. In order to make the wood useful for our projects, we have to dry the wood. Drying is one term, seasoning is another. Drying wood is strictly getting the water out of it. Seasoning is allowing it to settle or acclimate little by little over time, okay? It comes from the word seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter. You cannot call a piece of wood seasoned until it has been drying completely around the calendar for at least 1 year, sometimes more. Then it is seasoned. That's why I guess they use the term seasoned. You're a seasoned artisan or a seasoned veteran or a seasoned chef or whatever, okay? You have been around the seasons a few times, okay? So the wood behind me, which I racked and stacked last week, I was getting some strange readings, call them wonky, with the moisture meter. It was giving me numbers that were impossible for red oak and white oak. I was getting moisture readings of 45 and 51 and 52%. So that was telling me that the moisture meter could not give me an accurate reading. It was giving me some bizarre reading. Okay? Moisture meters can only measure within their range. The more expensive the meter, the wider the range, the more accurate. Cheapo little pin meter, $19.95, stick it in the wood, it'll tell you 8%, but it could be as low as 4% or it could be as high as 12%. I don't know what the range is. So there is only one way to determine precise moisture content of wood, and that is oven drying. Oven drying should be left to the technicians at a dry kiln or in a scientific lab because it can be problematic for the home woodworker. Now, can it be done? Absolutely. Cut myself a piece of wood off of one of the red oak boards as I was trimming the ends off. So I went in on a board that was fairly far in. I think I was about 6 or 8 inches in. So I'm thinking this will be reasonably close to whatever the center of the board is. I weighed it at 110 grams. Then I oven dried it and I weighed it at 85 grams, giving me a moisture content of 23%, round numbers. My scale only measures and gives a result of 5 grams, 10 grams, 15, and so on. So there's a plus or minus range there. So even, let's say, on the far side, I'm off by 5%. And instead of 23%, I'm at 28% maximum moisture content on the red oak. That tells me that the white oak is going to be higher. It tells me that the walnut and the cherry are much lower. Drying wood in an oven, you only have a few choices. You've got electric and you've got gas. The gas is out because gas ovens create moisture. So you'll never get the wood down close to 0%. Electric ovens, you have toaster ovens, you have convection ovens, you've got conventional ovens, and you've got microwave ovens. The fastest of which is microwave ovens. Microwave ovens work by exciting the water molecules and basically boiling them off from the center out. You have to be extremely careful with microwaves. With a conventional oven or a convection oven or a toaster oven, you can slowly bring your temperature up to a certain point. When you reach 3¼ 350, 375, if the wood is bone dry, it will begin to thermally change. It will be you start smelling a little bit of, not quite smoke, but you'll smell the wood thermally modifying. It's just before the smoke point. Microwaves don't give you that warning. Microwaves will burn from the inside out, and they will fill the room with smoke before they ignite. And oftentimes they won't even ignite. You can get these pieces just a chooching along and take them out and put them outside on the pavement, and they'll sit there and smoke for half an hour. Because they're acting like a piece of charcoal. They're just smoldering. And they're burning off compounds in the wood. So, cautionary tale. Number one, I have a microwave here in the shop. Number two, don't ever do this in your kitchen microwave. Ever! Okay. Once you have an oven dry test done and you know the scientific moisture content, then you can now plan your drying schedule. If you're using a dry kiln, this information is extremely important to the kiln operator. This will tell him approximately where they need to start. So what they'll do is they'll bring the moisture level and the temperature up in the kiln to this moisture level. What do I mean by that? Humidity and temperature. They have charts. And at 27% humidity, let's say 28% moisture content, it's not even on this chart. This chart goes to 27%. So if I was at 70 degrees, I would have to bring the moisture content of the kiln chamber up to 98% humidity. And why would I do that? Well, it's very simple. I want the outside of this wood to be as saturated as the inside of the wood. There's only two things you control, the humidity and the temperature. The other way around it would bring the temperature up to 100, 110, 120, 130, 140 degrees. Just keep increasing the temperature until that humidity is where you need it to be to equalize the wood. And that would equalize the wood in the entire chamber. Once you've reached that, that's your starting point. And then each day You want to reduce the moisture content in the chamber, either through venting to get rid of the humidity or by increasing heat. A lot of different ways to do it, combinations of them. The key being, you don't want the core moisture to exceed the surface moisture by more than 1 to 2%. So if you figure it out, you do the math, you're at 28%, you want to get it down to 6 to 8%, you got to reduce 20% humidity, you take it down 1% a day, you're looking at 20 days with some stages in between for testing and equalization, and then at the end you need 3 or 4 days to shut the venting off and raise the temperature so you equalize the entire chamber. So in a dry kiln, for 1-inch boards, you're looking at approximately 3 to 4 weeks. But in a room like this, I have fans behind here keeping the air circulating. Today, it is almost 69 and almost 66% humidity, 67% humidity. So if I go to this ambient air temperature of 70 degrees and I go to the ambient humidity, the relative humidity of 70, so call it 70-70, that would put me at 12.9% moisture content if everything were in here for 1 full season. But it's not. This is fresh. So it could go as high as 13, 14%, okay? It kind of befuddles me as to why dry kilns take their wood down to 6%, 7%. I understand it's because they're shipping wood all around the country, all around the world even. However, Europe doesn't do that. When wood comes into this country from Europe, it's usually dried about approximately 10%, so it can still dry out more. You and me as users need to understand that the wood we're buying may or may not be at what we call equilibrium. All right? That's why we like to put things on sticks, leave them rest in the shop for a minimum of a week or two before beginning to work on them, and then leaving them on sticks in between steps so that there's always air around them. If you get all of a sudden you get an overnight humidity change, that's going to change everything. So that wood has to be able to acclimate to those changes. And over time, over a full season, that wood or even your piece of furniture will have made it through an entire season, and it have expanded and contracted, and it will continue to do that the rest of its life. Less and less the older it gets. But museums keep their humidity level relatively low. I don't know for a fact what that is, whether it's 40%, 50%, 55%, but I do know as an HVAC designer, we try to keep humidity at 55%. So at 55%, a 70-degree room, your wood will be at approximately 10% moisture. And then in the winter, that same 70-degree room will drop to 30 or 35%. It will drop down to 7% moisture. So it moves quite a lot. I like wintertime. I feel the drier air healthier. I don't like high humidity. Although high humidity is much better for your skin, not for sinuses sometimes, but you don't get that cracking in your skin. So I hope this helps somebody. Oven drying, moisture content. How long will it take this stack to dry? Well, knowing what I know now, that it's between 23 and 28% humidity for the red oak, I'm suspecting I should be able to break down the red oak by my September 1 deadline of moving that stack out of here, unless somebody buys it sooner. The white oak may need to get stood up against the wall over there. No, it's actually over there. You know, there's camera left and camera right over here on this wall. It may need to get stood up over there and let season during the winter just stood up like that. By that time it'll be dry enough that it's not going to move a lot if I just stand it up. But I'll be ecstatic if I can start using some of that cherry in a month or so, and then the walnut, and then the red oak, and the white oak will probably be for next year. Or somebody will come to me and say, Walt, I want to buy that entire stack. I'll say, fine, back up your pickup truck and we'll load it right up. Don't microwave wood in your kitchen. It's not a good thing. Trust me, I know. Hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'm so glad you could be with me today. It was great having you here. Great sharing some information. I'll give you a close-up of that. Yeah. That could be an insurance claim. If you're not careful, you fill your house up with wood smoke, you will be replacing everything from carpet to upholstery to furniture to curtains to clothing, everything, because it will get in everywhere. Just these little pieces of wood. Hey, listen. Head out to your shop. Go make some shavings. Walter out.